Good evening and welcome to the Sports Route. This is Mike Grizzly, your host. We are here at Rock Springs Center. We normally come to you from Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill on Smithwick Drive, but tonight we are coming to you on location from Rock Springs at the annual Fellowship of Christian Athletes Banquet. Tonight we will have as our guests David Wall, who is Executive Director of the FCA, and Brian Blick, who will be the guest speaker. Brian was part of 4 state championships at Rose High School in football, then went on to play at the Naval Academy, and now he is Director of Operations at Navy. Well, we will have those as our guests later in the show. We'll also do a wrap-up of last week's action in local sports from college, high school, and recreation from Greenville Little League, Winterville Leagues. And we'll also look ahead to a big week in sports here in Pitt County. I'd like to thank our sponsors tonight, Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill and Pew's Tire and Service Center. We'll be back after this message with David Wall.
Hey craft beer fans, did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Find me the best price on quality tires.
Choose Pew's.
Okay, find me automotive service that I can trust.
Choose Pew's.
It's true. Choosy drivers searching for tires and service they can trust. Choose Pew's.
Now through May 7th, when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, you can receive a $70 Visa prepaid card by mail. Bridgestone, your journey, our passion.
For quality tires and automotive service you can trust, choose Pew's, where your first price is the right price, guaranteed.
Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Welcome back to the Sports Route. We are here at Rock Springs Center just before the annual Fellowship of Christian Athletes Banquet. We're glad to have as our guest David Wall, who's the Executive Director. David, glad you could join us.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm loving this. This is great.
Well, we usually originate from Tiebreakers, but David was gracious enough to let us come out here, and our sponsor, Brown Anderson, said, going out, just take my banner, so I get my sponsorship in. But Brian Blick will be on with us later. But let's just talk about the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. You came on board when Sam Martin left several years ago, and really established yourself here. But for folks who don't know a lot about Fellowship of Christian Athletes, just kind of tell the mission here and what you're trying to do here and throughout Eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, well, FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, works with middle schools, high schools, and colleges. We've been around for over 60 years, and here in Pitt County, they've probably been in existence almost 60 years. It's been a long time. I remember back when I was in high school in the 70s that we had groups that we did stuff with from Greenville. So it's been around a long, long time. And it's just a ministry in the schools, and we have a lot of student leadership, and we just love our coaches and our athletes, and we try to come alongside of them right there on the campuses and do all we can to help them out.
Yeah, and I know athletes in the name, but this is for everybody. I mean, any student or anybody can get involved and get something out of this.
Yeah, and we try to make that real clear. I've actually had, administrations come to me and say, we need to change that name. We don't want anybody to feel left out, and it really doesn't. It's not that we're for athletes. Athletics is our platform. So, I'm just a goofy old guy. And if I go to a middle school, that's one thing. But if I take a football player or a cheerleader or a basketball player or a swimmer, man, they have got a phenomenal platform for kids. It's like a magnet for students. And that's what we use. And then athletics also breaks down all the barriers. So it attracts all kinds of students. And we've got phenomenal athletes, terrible athletes. We've got folks that don't have athletic bone in their body, but we really use the platform well, I feel like.
And donuts is your drawing card, I understand.
They see me around town, like, oh, you're the donut guy, they remember me from 5-10 years ago. But yeah, it's huge. Krispy Kreme is a huge sponsor of ours, and I love Tiebreakers, let me tell you. But Krispy Kreme, Miss Tilly does phenomenal as far as helping us out with donuts. Yeah.
Now, I know you're involved in things year round, so let's just talk about some of the programs. Pregame meals for football teams, several camps that you have throughout the year. But just kind of give us an idea of some of the things that FCA does.
Yeah, we work with any football program that wants us to as far as pregame meals. As far as the high schools, we actually have a couple little small bowls like the Rose Bowl where you've got ACOC playing EPS, stuff like that. EPS. And we do the pregame meals. We try to have devotions. We bring in speakers for devotions for those. But we also have all kinds of camps and retreats. We just had a middle school retreat up in Oxford, North Carolina. Had a bunch of kids go to that. And we also work with coaches and the coaches' wives or spouses. And that's a pretty neat deal, too, because coaches, they work awful hard and they don't get paid a ton of money, and it can be tough on your family sometimes, so that's what we do.
I know your area is pretty big, but you've been able to break it down with some leaders in other areas like Wilson and Outer Banks. But just give us an idea of what your region covers and some of the other people who help you out in other areas.
Well, it's a little crazy. I started out with 24 counties, and that's a quarter of the state. And Johnny Evans, my boss, when he hired me, he said, "Man, I really need you to help staff the area." So we've got somebody in the Outer Banks, somebody in Wilson, somebody in Goldsboro. We've got people in New Bern, Morehead City. I still kind of keep my eye on about 14 counties, but I'll be down in Hyde County, or I'll be over. I'm all over the place. But it's a great area. Let me tell you, I love Craven County. We've got some phenomenal huddles down there, and we've got them all over the place. But yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the banquet specifically. I know that's one of your major fundraisers, and I mean, you just had some phenomenal speakers to come in over the years. David Thompson, Bobby Jones, Bobby Bowden, and Terry, I think, came to Oakmont and spoke at one time, and then Bobby was here, and Daryl Strawberry. Yeah. Just talk about what you look for in a speaker, what type of message you hope they bring, and then a little bit about Brian this year.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of different speakers, and we look for them to come. They have a good story to share, and they're encouraging, and just to see how God has touched their lives in different ways through sports and through, just in their lives in general. And we've got some guys who've struggled and come out of it, and just all kinds of different stories and scenarios. Brian, I called Brian up. I said, "Hey, we had Daryl Strawberry last year. We had Bobby Bowden, and we need to kind of step it up." And he started laughing. But Brian was one of my first huddle leaders, and for me to be able to bring him back is phenomenal. Great kid. I mean, he was an awesome student, awesome athlete, and then to go into the Naval Academy and then to be deployed a couple times, and then now he's on the staff at the Naval Academy. It's really exciting for him to come back, and so we're excited.
Well, you see these high-profile guys who are out in the media, and they see them on ESPN all the time. But do you see a real value of having a guy, homegrown guy, who's gone on to big success and has a real fate story to tell that kids can look up at him and say, if he can do it, I can do it.
Oh yeah, and it's so crazy. Our fundraiser's more geared for adults, but we use guys like Brian to go back into the schools because it's huge for them to meet somebody who actually went to their school, who played their sport. It's phenomenal. I've got guys that'll come to me who may wear, like at ACOC or EPS, and they'll go, "Oh, I have Brian's jersey from, when he played," type stuff, and it's kind of a neat deal. And his dad coaches over at St. Peter's. We've got a huddle over there, and it's just neat to see the impact he's had, and the guys like him, and to have somebody like him come back is fantastic. Yeah. So
now know you're always looking for people to get involved, either financially or as volunteers, huddle leaders. Just give our listeners and viewers how they can get in touch with you, or what opportunities are out there to get involved with FCA.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of ways that you can support FCA, and we tell people all the time, we're not looking for donations, we're looking for partners, and whether it's financial partnership, or whether it's you're praying for us, or you want to be a huddle leader, or you want to consider being on the board, we've got all kinds of opportunities. And it's crazy, but I counted up our volunteers not long ago, about 200 volunteers just in our area, and it's just fantastic to have folks involved in our schools. So it's good.
Well, David, just knowing there's no telling how many hours and miles you put in a week, but we appreciate all you do for the youth of Pitt County and Eastern North Carolina, and just being a good role model for them and showing them the way. But appreciate your time today to come on.
Hey,
on
we
Sports Route.
appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you. All right, that's David Wall with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We'll be back with a wrap-up of last week's sports, and a look ahead to a big week in sports. And later we will have our special guest, Brian Blick.
Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Find me the best price on quality tires.
Choose Pews.
Okay, find me automotive service that I can trust.
Choose Pews.
It's true. Choosy drivers searching for tires and service they can trust. Choose Pews.
Now through May 7th, when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, you can receive a $70 Visa prepaid card by mail. Bridgestone, your journey, our passion.
For quality tires and automotive service you can trust, choose Pews, where your first price is the right price, guaranteed.
Hey craft beer fans, did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Welcome back to the Sports Route. We are here at Rock Springs Center before the Fellowship of Christian Athletes annual banquet. I'd like to thank David Wall for coming on. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill on Smithwick Drive and Pews Tire and Service Center. We'll be have Brian Blick joining us a little later, but first of all, we want to take a look back at the weekend sports and a look ahead to a big week coming up. First of all, we'll take a look at ACU. Pirates went to last place Memphis and took care of business. Got a sweep of the Tigers to remain in second place in the American Athletic Conference. Pirates have a huge week coming up. Scheduled to play number 2 NC State on Tuesday night in Raleigh, but 100% chance of rain, so that game might not happen. But I know a lot of Pirate fans would like to see that game played. ECU went to Durham last week and handled Duke pretty easily. I know they love to get a shot at NC State, ranked number 2 in the country. State took 2 of 3 against Duke last week and has won 10 consecutive ACC series. So it'll be quite a battle between two very good baseball teams. But right now, Houston leads the league at 10-5 and 25-15, and the Cougars come to town next weekend. So just a huge week ahead for the Pirates. They played a nationally ranked Duke team, had the road series at Memphis, at NC State, and then Houston coming to town. But ECU standing second right now at 8-4, 30 wins, 30-9 overall, and the Pirates are 16-6 at home. South Florida is third in the league at 9-6, followed by UConn at 7-5, Cincinnati's at 8-6. Tulane at 6-6. Central Florida, one of the preseason favorites and defending champion, is down at 7-8. Wichita State, which traditionally has a very strong program, is at 4-8, and then Memphis is 1-11. The Pirates have had Houston, South Florida, and Wichita State at home this year. They opened up at Central Florida, so schedule played in their favor a little bit with that. In softball, the Pirates are 21-26, 7-8 in the conference, and tied for 6th. They are scheduled to host NC State on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and then Wichita State, which is a newcomer to the league, which will be coming to Greenville for the first time, is 27-17, 9-6, and second in the AAC. The AAC Golf Championships have been played the past couple of weeks. The women shared second, and Catherine Carson was named Freshman of the Year. ECU men are competing this week in Palm Harbor, Florida. They were fifth after the first round, still tied for fifth after the second round at 19 over par. South Florida is dominating the tournament at 5 under. Patrick Stevenson at 3 over par is tied for 10th in individual and leading ECU. Looking at Pitt Community College, the Bulldogs are on a roll, won 17 of 19 games and coming off winning 2 of 3 against their rival Lenore Community College this weekend. They split a pair on Saturday. Won the first game 11-1. Lost the second game 6-3, and then yesterday they took a 10-0 decision over the Lancers with Dylan Patrick throwing a 5-inning no-hitter. Freshman from Cresswell, who was a part of that Edenton Holmes state championship team, but Dylan's had a couple of really nice outings. But the Bulldogs right now are 15-2 in the league, in first place, and at 23 wins, 10 losses, 1 tie. And looking to get another run towards the Division II Junior College World Series. Also in Region Team, Patrick Henry Community College is at 11-3-2 in second place, followed by Brunswick Community College at 13-5-1. Catawba Valley's at 13-6. Wake Tech at 8-8-1. Bryant and Stratton out of Virginia is 9-10, followed by Southeastern Community College out of Whiteville at 8-9. Lenore Community is 7-12. Gifford Technical Community College is at 5-15. And New River Community College is 0-19 and 6-39-1. And New River will be coming to Winterville this weekend for 2 games on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So good chance for the Bulldogs to pick up 3 more wins and really solidify their hold on first place in Region 10. The Bulldogs will close out the regular season May 5th and 6th against Brunswick Community College, the third place team. Rain cost them a chance to play Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry was ranked 18th in the country at the time. Pitt started the season at number 6 in the country, dropped out of the polls, and now has moved into number 17. The Bulldogs have been led by several hot bats. Joe Keonis Mason, the transfer from Wingate University, is batting .440 this year. Mikey Polanski has only played in 20 games, just got back from injury, but I know Coach Eason's really glad to have his bat back. But Mikey hit a couple of home runs in Saturday's first game. But Mikey's from Virginia, played at the same high school as David Wright at Hickory High School. But Mikey's batting .456 with 6 home runs in 20 games. Freshman Austin LaFollette is batting .376 this year with 11 doubles, 10 home runs, and 30 RBIs, and he's just been a tremendous source of power and RBI producer in that lineup. And sophomore Drew Preskoric, who's played some third base and first base for PCC, is at .341. Pitching-wise, Dylan Patrick and John Owen are both at 5-0. As Dylan just threw a no-hitter, so his last 2 games he's put up, only giving up 1 run in his last 10 innings. He beat Guilford 11-1 and then beat Lenore 10-0. Their ace, Andrew Blick, is 4-2. Andrew had a couple of tough losses. He's headed to NC State next year, but Andrew's got 61 strikeouts and 47.2 innings. He's a hard thrower and a strikeout pitcher, but occasionally gives up, the long ball, which what happens with your fastball pitchers. Over on the softball side, Bulldogs are 25-10, 14-7, and third place in the Region 10 behind Florida Darlington and Southeast Community College. PCC is 18-2 at home this year. They close out the regular season at Florida Darlington on April 28th and then play 2 games at Patrick Henry on April 29th. Turning now to high school. And got quite a race going on over in the Eastern Carolina 3A, 4A conference with 4 games remaining. And depending on rain tomorrow night, there'll be a full slate of games on Tuesday, and then Conley and Rose are scheduled to get together on Friday for their second meeting of the year. But right now, Conley leads the conference at 7-1, 17-3 overall. Rose is at 6-2, 14-4. Southern Wayne is 4-4, 9-8. Newbern's at 5-5, 10-8. Charles B. Aycock, which started the season number 1 in Class 3A, is 4-5, 15-5, and that shows you how tough this conference is with all 5 of Aycock's losses coming into conference. They've lost twice to Conley, twice to Rose, and once to Southern Wayne. South Central's at 4-6 and 10-8. South Central's a pretty darn good team to be that far down in the standings. But that just once again shows you how tough this league is. Eastern Wayne's at 1-8, 3-14, and Eastern Wayne's one loss in the one win in the conference came over Rose when Hunter Christopher was out. But they hit 3 home runs that game and were able to come back and beat the Rampants. You look at this conference. Conley and Rose are really 2 teams looking for a number 2 starter. Conley's got Robbie O'Neill, who's just been dominant, and Rose has got Hunter Christopher, who got off to such a great start and then was out for 6 games with a concussion and has kind of been working his way back. Hasn't been quite as sharp, but still is, anytime Hunter's on the mound, Rose has got a great chance to win. But last week, Conley kind of had a little hiccup against Wakefield. They played Wakefield in a non-conference game and lost 18-4, which that kind of snapped a pretty long winning streak for the Vikings. Then they went over to Winston to play Riverside and had to rally from that game and scored 4 runs in the 8th inning and ended up winning 6-3. Then got a very good performance from Robbie O'Neill and 3 RBIs from Jake Lycett and got a 4-2 win last Friday. This week, Conley plays New Bern on Tuesday night for senior night, pending weather, and then Friday night they'll host Rose for that showdown. Then they'll have 2 games on the road next week. Right now, senior Brock Cross is leading the Vikings with a 386 average, scored 20 runs, 15 RBIs. Leadoff hitter Zach Byram is at 361, scored team high 28 runs, and Jake Lycett has raised his batting average to 361. He scored 26 runs and driven in 12. Robbie O'Neill has put up a 7-0 record, 64 strikeouts, and just given up 9 hits in 35 innings this year. Walked 24, only giving up 7 runs. So Robbie's put together quite a season. Control wavered just a little bit the other night against Aycock, walked 6, but still only gave up 2 hits, and one of those was a little dribbler on the infield. When you look at Rose last week, they defeated Aycock 8-7, had to kind of hold off a late rally. They've had a week off, so they'll host Southern Wayne on Tuesday night at Guy Smith Stadium and then go over to Conley on Friday. Coach Vincent's got a real boost offensively lately with Max Van Kuteren, and when Hunter went out, that gave Max a chance to kind of step in and get some at-bats. So he's batting .469 with 32 at-bats this year. Anthony started off in a number 2 spot, batted some leadoff, and now he's batting cleanup. But Anthony's batting .414 with 5 doubles, 3 homers, 30 RBIs, and 19 runs scored. But he's really been productive in that leadoff spot the last couple of weeks. Robbie Wacker, rampant shortstops at 367, 22 RBIs, and Hunter Christopher's batting .471. That's in 34 at-bats with 1 homer. On the mound, Christopher's 5-0. And like I say, Rose has been really searching for that number 2 guy. Clay Stanley's at 3-2. Shane Rodemaker's at 3-0. And South Central is really the one team that's got a great 1-2 punch at the pitching, but Falcons have just kind of struggled to generate some offense. But with Drew Nichols and Scott Mayo, Coach McCrae's got a good chance to win anytime those 2 guys on the mound. Last week, the Falcons defeated Southern Wayne 7-1. Then Drew Nichols goes out and throws a perfect game, 5-inning perfect game, and a 10-0 win over Eastern Wayne. That was on senior night, so quite a senior night for Drew. And then the next day, South Central goes to New Bern, and DeClan Clampy, a sophomore at New Bern, throws a no-hitter against the Falcons. So South Central saw both ends of the spectrum last week. They get a no-hitter, perfect game, then get one thrown against them. This week, South Central goes out of conference. They'll host a pretty good Washington team on Wednesday. Then they are at Topsail on Thursday. I say the Falcons struggle to hit the ball. They have no home runs and no triples this year, only 17 extra base hits. Nichols has been one of the better hitters in the area. He's batting .411. Colby Wainwright's really picked it up in the last couple of weeks, batting .375. He's got a team high 12 RBIs. So, Falcons have really struggled to produce a lot of runs, but they do put the ball in play, and as Coach McCray said, we just got to find some holes. On the mound, Nichols is 4-1, 40 innings pitched with 33 strikeouts and just 10 walks, and Scott Mayo is 5-3, and that's a deceptive record because all three of Scott's losses have come in conference play. He lost once to Robbie O'Neill, lost once to Hunter Christopher, and then he was on the wrong end of the no-hitter on Saturday. So he's been really pitching in some tough luck this year. Scott's got 67 strikeouts in 54 innings and 13 walks. In the Eastern Carolina 2A, North Lenore is 7-2. Green Central 6-3, West Craven 5-3, South Lenore is 5-4, Washington 5-4, Hayden Grifton's down at 2-6, 11-9, and Kinston's winless in 14 games this year and over 8 in the conference. Hayden Grifton is at Kinston on Tuesday and will host North Lenore on Friday. Chargers have been led by Jackson Upchurch, a sophomore at 422, and Brandon Benfield, also a sophomore. He's batting .381. Junior Jordan Atkinson's at .333. Atkinson and Connor Allen are both 3-0 on the mound. Over in the Eastern Plains 2A Conference, North Pitt's down at 2-4, 8-11. North Johnston and Nash Central both at 6-0, leading the conference. Southwest Edgecomb's at 3-3, Beddingfield at 1-5, and Farmville Central at 0-6. Farmville Central's at North Pitt on Tuesday and at Northside Wednesday, and North Pitt goes over to Farmville Central on Friday. In Eastern Carolina Conference softball, South Central is leading the league at 9-0, 17-1. And they're led by Slug and Cameron Davis. CB Aycock is 7-2, followed by Conley at 6-2, Southern Wayne at 4-4, Newbern at 3-6, Rose at 1-7, and Eastern Wayne is winless at 0-9. Conley lost to Washington this week 3-1, and then got a big win over Aycock at 7-3. They host Newbern on Tuesday and go to Rose on Friday. South Central, in its last 5 games, has outscored its opponents 77-1. Beat Green Central 11-1 and swept a doubleheader from Eastern Wayne 16-0, 16-1. The Falcons this week are at Corinth Holders on Wednesday and at Newbern on Thursday. So Cameron Davis is leading South Central. She's batting sizzling .564 with 11 doubles, 8 home runs, and 38 RBIs. Madison Deans is at .453. Amaya Evans at .453. Freshman Allie Johnson at .388. And Marissa Roach at .358. The Falcons have hit 15 home runs this year. Over in Eastern Plains, Eastern Conference 2A softball, Washington leads at 9-0. South Lenore is at 8-1. Green Central 5-3. Hayden Grifton's at 3-5, 10-6 overall. Kinston's at 1-7 and 2-10 overall. North Lenore is winless at 0-8. Hayden Grifton this week is at Kinston on Tuesday and hosts North Pitt on Wednesday. In the Eastern Plains, North Johnston, which is ranked number 1 in the state, is 6-0, 18-0 overall. Farmville Central and Bedingfield are both at 4-2. Southwest and Nash are both at 2-4, and then North Pitt at 0-6, 0-14 overall. Coming up this week, North Pitt's at Farmville Central on Monday, at Hayden Grifton on Wednesday, and Farmville Central goes over to North Pitt on Friday. Farmville Central also will host against rival Green Central on Wednesday. Also coming up this week will be all-county golf on Wednesday at Greenville Country Club. Now looking at Greenville Little League, and got quite a start over at Elm Street Park. There's been some tremendous pitching lately. Puts us, we're down to one undefeated team, which is Brown and Wood. Brown and Wood's at 5-0 in the Tar Heel League. Remax at 4-1. Eastern Plumbing 4-1. Carolina Windows and Doors is 3-2. Jarman Auto Sales at 2-3. Pepsi at 2-3. EC Auto and Truck Center is at 2-3, and BB&T at 0-5. Over in the North State League, Coca-Cola's at 4-1. Optimus and Overton's are both at 3-2. Kiwanis, Ross Orthodontics, and Physicians East at 2 and 3, and Sylvan Learning and Host Lines are at 1 and 4. Great pitcher performances last week by Will D'Alonzo, struck out 11, and Marcus Bird had a 14 strikeout game. Over in Winterville, in the major leagues, dependable contract Royals continues to lead with a 5-1 record. Brighton's Braves are 3-1. The North NC Driving School Nationals are 2 and 2. Camp Hatteras Pirates at 3 and 3, and Astros are 0 and 6. In the minor leagues, the White Sox are 7 and 1, followed by Zaxby's Red Sox at 6 and 1. Dick's Sporting Goods Yankees are 4 and 3. Pirates are 2 and 5. The Astros 1 and 5, and the Cubs are 1 and 6. And that's a wrap for the sports this week and what's coming up. We invite you to go to our new recreation page on pittcountypost.com to get the latest news, standings, and recreation news in Pitt County. Once again, thank our sponsors, Tiebreakers on Smithwick Drive, Tiebreaker Sports Bar and Grill, and Pugh's Tire and Service Center with locations in Greenville, Washington, and Williamston. We'll be back after this message with our special guest, Brian.
Hey Greenville, are you tired of paying way too much for average food? Then plug Tiebreakers into your GPS and try some of our handcrafted plates. Tiebreakers does all the extra things that the chain restaurants don't do. We hand cut and bread our boneless wings, we hand patty our Angus burgers, we even hand cut and bread our own cheese sticks. Tiebreakers always goes that extra mile for you, our customer. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and caterings. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Find me the best price on quality tires.
Choose Pugh's.
Okay, find me automotive service that I can trust.
Choose Pugh's.
It's true. Choosy drivers searching for tires and service they can trust. Choose Pugh's.
Now through May 7th, when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, you can receive a $70 Visa prepaid card by mail. Bridgestone, your journey, our passion.
For quality tires and automotive service you can trust, choose Pugh's, where your first price is the right price, guaranteed.
Hey craft beer fans, did you know that Tiebreakers now stocks over 50 craft beers? We have slowly added to our craft beer menu and are continuing to add new crafts weekly with your help. Stop by after work and try one of your favorite craft beers and enjoy one of our handcrafted appetizers, burgers, or salads. If you're serious about your craft beer, then find us on the Untapped app. Tiebreakers is your local spot for food, sports, and entertainment.
Welcome back to the Sports Route. We are here at Rock Springs Center before the annual Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Thank David Wall for coming on early, and now we have as our special guest Brian Blick, a Greenville native who grew up here and now is up at the Naval Academy. But welcome, Brian. Really glad to have you back home.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's just talk about what you've done since you left Greenville. You've got 2 children now, raising a family. So just kind of catch people up on what Brian Blick is doing these days.
Yeah, so my wife and I, we actually met at Rose, dated all throughout college, and then the weekend after we graduated, or I graduated, we got married, and then we got at it quick. So she got pregnant within a couple months, and now our oldest son he'll be 5 next month. And now we have a 11-month-old little girl. So there's fun times in the Blick house. Yes, sir.
I know it's kind of a cliche, but it really changes your perspective on life when you're a father, doesn't it?
Absolutely, man. It rocked my world. So it changed all my priorities, and for a good way, in a good way. So
yeah, you can have a bad day at work, and you come home and you see those smiles and hugs, and it just it changes everything.
Oh, it's the best. It's the absolute best.
Well, let's jump back to the past a little bit. You obviously had a pretty decorated career at Rose, part of 4 state championship teams. Just some of your memories from those days. I mean, those were some of the glory days of Rose. Just tremendous athletes that came through and a lot of success.
Yes, sir. So I had a great time at Rose. Learned a lot about being a young man and growing into being a man. And we had some great teams. We had some really special players that I played alongside, a couple guys that would go on in the NFL, and obviously led by Coach Thomas, phenomenal head coach. Actually saw him 2 weeks ago. He came up and visited us in Annapolis. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and Greenville's a special place for us and my family and I.
Yeah, I know you grew up in an athletic family with your father and brother also. So, how did that contribute all along just to your development and I guess just your love for sports and staying in it?
Yeah, so my brother would tell you he taught me everything, and he's got a 5-year-old little boy, and yesterday we were out playing in my brother's backyard, and his little boy looks over at me, and nobody told him to do it. He says, "My dad's better than you." So he's probably right. But it was a competitive nature. We were always after each other, and I would talk a little junk to him, and then he would certainly give it to me since I was the younger. So I learned to take a lot, and I think that helped kind of develop me in a little bit more reserved nature, because I can take a lot. And I learned that from my brother.
I'm sure. I'm sure you had plenty of opportunities coming out of Rose, but just talk about what the Navy offered you, provided you, and I know that was more than a football decision. That was a life decision, but
Right.
just what appealed to you about going into the Naval Academy?
Yeah, so actually they had been recruiting me for a while, and I was completely turned off to the notion of going into the military. Didn't want any part of it. West Point was also looking at me, and I told my dad, "There's no way I'm doing that." And my uncle, who's a high school football coach down in Jacksonville, North Carolina, he said, "Hey man, I just went up there for a coach's clinic. You got to go at least check it out. All right, just listen to what they have to say." So one weekend, my dad and I we drove up after a Rose High baseball game. We were down in Havelock, so we took the road trip right after the game, and met with a couple coaches the next day and fell in love with the place. And that's kind of how we do it now. On the other side, working for Navy, when we get guys on campus, they fall in love with the place, and it was certainly true for me. And I'm really glad I made that decision.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of covered ECU for 9 or 10 years, so I've been in a lot of venues, and I know Army's a rival, but
Yeah.
I mean, when ECU played at Army, it's really hard to compare
Right.
going to a game at a military academy opposed to others. But isn't that just a special day for the entire school, entire unit to get together and as one?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And the students are hit or miss in terms of whether they enjoy it or not. They have to be there. So some of them get into it, some of them could care less. But in general, it is a tribute to the entire service as a whole. And so we try to do a good job every weekend, and we try to play to the level that our country expects of us and their service members.
Yeah. Now, how many Army-Navy games were you a part of?
So it would have been 5, 6, 7 total.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so 7 Army-Navy games. And last year was a rough
Yeah.
one. That was the first one that we dropped when I was there.
Yeah.
At least that I've been a part of it. And it is a rough go.
Yeah, Navy's had quite an upper hand, and had quite an upper hand against ECU. I know Navy's rolled up some impressive numbers against ECU's defense.
Yes, sir.
And now being in the same conference, I guess that's a special time now when ECU and Navy get together.
It is, and I'm not sure the next time we play, and I'm hoping to be able to come home for a game soon, but it is great every time we play ECU. Obviously, they got us a couple years back at our place, but it's a special time anytime you can play the Pirates.
Yeah, I know you played on the defensive side of the ball up there, but I mean, the offense is just so hard to prepare for and defend. Just going against that every day in practice, I mean, just talk about the challenge of defending that offense.
Yeah, the triple option is a phenomenal offense, and we feel like we've got it down pat, where our coaches are as good as it gets in terms of dialing up plays to whatever the defense comes with. So there's really nothing that you can line up with on a defense that we don't have an answer for. And when we are doing well, that quarterback can make all the reads, and it's kind of just it runs itself. So it's a great offense. It suits us well for what we have and what we try to do.
Yeah. Now, looking at your bio, and I know you had some deployments after graduation. Can you just talk about some of those, just some of the experience, and I guess how that makes you have to grow up kind of fast, don't you?
Yeah. So the Naval Academy is a little bit different, obviously, than other schools, because every student is guaranteed a job when you graduate. And so for me, I commissioned as an officer in the Marine Corps. I was fortunate in one aspect that they let me stay around for a year as basically a graduate assistant coach. And then following that, I had the opportunity to take over a howitzer platoon. So it was about 100 Marines that I was in charge of, and we eventually will deploy about a year after. And it was a great experience, and they put a lot on your plate as a young man, and there is no room for failure. You know, it's different from anything kind of in the civilian world, because we deal with life or death.
Right.
You know, and if you don't do a good job, then you're not only a bad officer, you're a bad person. So it puts a lot of pressure on trying and mold Marines and sailors to get them at a combat ready status.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess it makes you appreciate family being away and just being back home.
100%, yeah. And my wife and I always talk about is really fortunate that we had the opportunity to go through this together. Obviously, we started dating in high school, but so she followed me all the way through, and when it came time to whether I was going to stay in or get out, I owed it to her to get out. And so we're just very fortunate that we had that experience, and now we cherish every moment together. Any chance that we can, we're together, we're with the family, and just really fortunate to have been able to done that.
Yeah, well, it looks like a great opportunity to come back to Navy and be director of football operations. Just tell our viewers a little bit about what a day-to-day job is for you, and just how good it is to be back
Yeah,
back
so
where you are.
pretty much my job is to jump when coach says jump. So my phone will start ringing, and sometimes it's hours and times that are not convenient. But my wife, she was joking the other day, Coach Nia Matalolo, our head coach, called me, and she just says, "How high?" You know what I mean? So it's a great job, and I have the privilege of working for a phenomenal head coach. I don't think that there is a better coach, a better person to work for in the country. I mean, he is a phenomenal person. He treats us right. He is a servant first in everything that he does. So it's really not work. I mean, I do this for free. They just happen to compensate me for it. So
Better not let word get back on the other.
that's right. Good.
Now, when I was talking with David, he said, I called Brian and said we had Bobby Bowden and Daryl Starberry, but we're trying to step it up a little bit. So
Yeah, I was joking. I said, man, you must have went through a lot of people to get down to me. It's sort of like the search for a Tennessee football coach, man. They had to go through a lot of people to get to me.
Yeah.
But no, it's a tremendous opportunity, obviously, to come back home and to be a part of this. FCA is important to us all. So.
Yeah. And David said he was one of your huddle leaders early when you came to town. So just tell me what FCA has meant to your life and some of your faith story.
Yeah, so through Rose High and being a part of football, we started getting involved with FCA probably my junior or senior year, and really saw football as an opportunity to influence people. And once I realized the potential for that, I kind of shifted gears a little bit in terms of my daily actions in my life. So started getting involved with FCA, and David gave me the opportunity to be the president of FCA at Rose for my senior year, and to kind of take on that leadership role was something that I hadn't done before. And to be honest with you, I did a really poor job. But looking back, it was something that was beneficial in that I was able to put a label on myself that I don't know if I would have done otherwise. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity, and it allowed me to step up into different leadership roles in the Christian community and faith when I got into college.
Yeah.
So FCA has been a whole lot to me and to my family.
Yeah, having that foundation when you face adversity, whether it's in the battlefield or in college, on the football field, I mean, how important was that for you to, you always got your faith to kind of hold on to or lean back on?
Yeah, you can't make it through hard times without having that backstop. And I think what my football career and my time in the military taught me is that God's not just a backstop. Man, he needs to be in front at all times, and you need to let him lead you. And once that kind of clicked for me, everything has changed since. Obviously, my priorities are different. It's very fortunate to be here.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'd like to thank Brian Blick for being our guest tonight. That will wrap up the sports wrap for this Monday, and go online later to watch Brian and his talk for the to the crowd here for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So Brian, we really appreciate your time.
Yes,
We're
sir.
glad to have you back home.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Join us next week. We'll be back at Tiebreakers next Monday at 6 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Grizzard, your host.